Hey everyone, it's Sophie. I just wanted to hop right in and just let you know what's been going on. The day that Mariah and I recorded this, I unfortunately had my car accident, and that's why I've been out. We have not been able to record because I have been dealing with a concussion. And so that is why there has not been any Wait Here Please episodes. But we're back. I'm slowly on the mend, and we are really excited for you all to hear this episode. Thanks for being patient with us. Hello, and welcome to the Wait Here Please podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sophia.
And I am Mariah, your other host. I'm glad to be here again today.
And we are officially on our third episode. Wow.
Woo-hoo.
That's a big deal.
I can't believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
So before we get into our topic today, I would like to call out my co-host for something that happened. I noticed that her microphone sounded a little different, so I spent a couple of hours trying to work on that. And guess what I found out today?
What? That I warned you before going into this that I was technologically inept.
Okay, first of all, there's a difference. I've never seen someone that doesn't know how to change the microphone and add it. She didn't add the microphone.
I was under the impression that because I set it up on my computer, it automatically
Didn't we assume that things should not be assumed after we met Catalina? Didn't we assume this?
We should have. But hopefully now the sound is better. It's not going through my headphones, which whole nother story today. We're doing it.
So
I warned you when we first started talking about this.
We need to call it something. We need to call it something else, though. Technologically inept is not enough.
I know.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I'm literally like my grandmother when trying to figure out technological stuff.
That's an understatement. I bet your grandmother is better, but
she might just need I was gonna say microphone. No, magnifying glass to see stuff. Yeah. But she truly might be better.
I don't know if you heard that meow, but my cat Olaf would like to say hello. He's very needy.
He is.
So if you hear that, I apologize. Today we kind of wanted to do something a little bit more specific.
Yes.
We wanted to talk about everyone's favorite subject, periods.
So much fun. I am so blessed to be a woman with these periods. When in reality, I think it's been... I hear you, Olaf. He wants to talk about periods too. Yeah.
So periods, everyone's favorite thing. There's no one ever.
No one. And I know we touched on it in a previous episode, how long it's been for you. And I know we talked about your last period. For me, thinking back to it, when I fill out the forms of when was your last period, it was probably what year was my oldest born? 2022? 2021 was the last one before I got pregnant. And then, pregnancy and had her. And then didn't get one again because I was breastfeeding. And then got pregnant again when I decided to stop breastfeeding. You're extra fertile, by the way, in case no one ever told you. So I haven't had a period since 2021. And even before that, it was super irregular because I have PCOS.
Right. So we kind of wanted to get into it, talk about our experiences, kind of talk about things that are surprising, things that people may not know about periods. To be completely honest, I had to look up a few things.
Yeah, exactly.
Because one, it's been a while, but two, I didn't realize the big changes, like the pink text.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, 11.8%.
Wow. I didn't, I guess I didn't realize how big of a difference between normal tax and regular tax, uh, regular tax and pink tax it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna touch on that.
Mhm.
So yeah, but to start off, Mariah's gonna let us know what exactly is a period, because to be honest, I would describe it in a different way, and I will
Yeah.
give you my definition, but I think for medical purposes, here's the
Yeah.
correct definition.
This is off of the Office of Women's Health. It's a government website run by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Um, what is menstruation? Menstruation is a woman's monthly bleeding, often called your period. When you menstruate, your body discards the monthly buildup of the lining of your uterus. Menstrual blood and tissue flow from your uterus through the small opening in your cervix and pass out of your body through your vagina. During your monthly menstruation cycle, the uterus lining builds up to prepare for pregnancy. If you do not get pregnant, estrogen and progesterone hormone levels begin falling. Very low levels of these tell your body to begin your menstruation or your period.
Lovely.
Beautiful. Love the dictionary definition of stuff.
So Mariah, what's your definition of period? Of what would your how would you define periods?
Hell.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah,
Um,
my definition, I guess, other than hell, would just be a time of month that I am extra crampy and my body is imploding on itself. Really, that's how I define it when it comes to talking with the people in my life.
yeah. I think what's really hard for me personally is the quote unquote average woman or trans male. They have 7 days. Like that's the amount you have your period for. So for me, I never experienced that in my entire life.
But the 7 day, yeah.
The 7 days, never. So
Was
for
yours
me,
longer or shorter?
longer.
Okay.
The longest was 6 months
Wow.
straight.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really hard to kind of put a definition on it, because
Hmm.
I would honestly say, like, sometimes it feels very like hellish,
Hmm.
swampy-ish, but also you could call it the red devil, the red wave.
Yeah.
So there's like so many different ways that I can describe periods, but I
Yeah.
think that is why just saying, because one thing I noticed when you were talking about the definition, I noticed like the focus was on pregnancy, preparing for
Hmm.
pregnancy. The whole point is
Yeah.
pregnancy. And I
Yeah.
understand like the reason for periods is to
Pregnancy.
get pregnant or
Yeah.
to see if you are pregnant. Like I
Yeah,
get
like
that.
that's the biological reason behind it all.
Right. But like I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a different way of talking, because one,
Yeah.
not everyone wants to get pregnant. Two, not
Right.
everyone can get pregnant. Three, having that kind of talk when you're kind of introducing periods to children
Hmm.
is very interesting. I
Yeah.
find that very interesting.
Same here,
Um,
and especially raising two girls and preparing for that. And, the line of work that we are in, being therapists, we talk about cycles. And we're seeing that in females as young as what, 8, 9 is when it's starting. And for it to be the talk of, it's pregnancy related, that's scary. as an 8 or
Oh,
9-year-old. And it's scary to have that conversation to an 8 or 9-year-old, because let's not sexualize our children into thinking this just means that you can get pregnant, which it's true, but that's not
unfortunately.
something that they need to be worried about. Yeah, it's unfortunate that 8 and 9-year-olds could really get pregnant. Terrifying, actually, that's the truth. But to have that conversation at that age is scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And so I just think there should be multiple definitions
Hmm.
for different ages, personally.
Yeah.
And also for different circumstances. Like, I get why that's the specific definition. Like, I understand. But I don't know. I just feel like we're now coming to an age where a lot of people, especially in America, with
Hmm.
the reverse of Roe, people aren't getting pregnant.
Yeah. Nope.
It's too scary. And now with the Trump presidency, a lot of people are scared. So I think that we should just be mindful of possibly
Hmm.
changing the definition or adding multiple
Adding,
definitions.
adding to it, adding it. And I think, if let me see if I go back to the website, like it goes into a definition of the menstruation cycle. And again, it's focused around pregnancy, um, which, yes, that's the biological feature, but your cycle has to do so much more with the hormones in your body and what it's going to feel like and what's going on at that point, that there needs to be more talk around it other than pregnancy. Going from like working out, for example, you can do different levels of workouts at different points of your cycle, because your hormones, because your body is reacting a certain way. And it's not
Mhm.
about the pregnancy. Um, it's more about like what is going on inside.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's starting to become like a big thing, like
Mm-hmm.
the luteal phase. Is that how
Yes,
you pronounce it? Luteal
I believe
phase?
so. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Like, these conversations are really hard for people like me because if you're experiencing your period for
Mhm.
6 months, like, when is that phase?
Yeah, exactly. And unless you're tracking it, who truly knows? And if again your period is not the normal 28, your cycle isn't the normal 28-day period cycle, what does that truly look like? And who's going to take us seriously? Because, just like you, when I was having it wasn't that 28-day cycle. It was very irregular. And when it lasted longer than 2 weeks, I would go to talk with doctors and they're like, oh, just take some iron supplements and it will be fine. When in reality, something more was going on. And it took me until I was 24 to actually get the PCOS diagnosis, because somebody actually took me seriously. I annoyed enough doctors to be taken seriously.
Yeah, the average amount of time for a woman or trans male to get diagnosed with endometriosis is 7 to 10 years.
Yeah,
That's absolutely fucking disgusting.
it is, because you're struggling for those years.
Hmm?
And
Yeah.
I know, I think you just sent me the article saying that it might start happening quicker. There was more research coming out. So fingers crossed that that continues to be worked on to help reduce that amount.
Yeah, and we're gonna have individual episodes specifically
Yes.
talking about PCOS, endometriosis, and all the other
Hmm.
uterus diseases, chronic illnesses that I have. Um, but
Yes.
we think it's important to kind of address it because it impacts your entire body. It
Hmm.
impacts your life, your mental health, everything. We've talked about it briefly, PMD.
Hmm.
It A lot of people don't know what PMDD is.
No, and I know and we know more about it because we talk about it. We have the DSM, all this stuff is coming out. So we know more, and just to educate and provide that psychoeducation to clients, whether it's their kids or they're a teenager, even an adult woman or trans male that are like at this point, right when my cycle is about to start, I feel suicidal. I feel more intense emotions than just a normal PMS. And I think that thankfully, again, that conversation is coming up more and happening more frequently.
Right. And
Yeah.
we want to reiterate, if you feel suicidal or you feel like your emotions, you cannot control your emotions, and you're feeling like you're eating more, or you're just being more moody, like you're noticing a huge change right before your period, sometimes even during your period, please go talk to your OBGYN and please seek out a therapist, because cognitive behavioral therapy, as well as birth control, which we will get into, those are the two main things that really help with PMDD. But that's something that I don't, unless you are like actively saying, I think I have PMDD, I don't think that people, like, I don't think it's brought up.
It's not. I
I
don't
don't
think
think,
so either.
yeah.
Because I know when I mean, have talked about it, even with my own therapist or my own primary care provider, it's not brought up. It's just, oh, that's your anxiety, that's your depression, that's just amplifying. When in reality, it's likely PMDD. And unless I bring something up, it's not quite talked about. And I'm sure I know you've had similar situations with that as well.
Unfortunately, when it comes to women's health, we have to be our own advocate.
Yes.
And that's something that Mariah and I are really passionate about, is advocacy. And we understand how terrifying that can be.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
White
and
coat
that's kind of,
syndrome is so real.
what's white coat syndrome?
When you're afraid of doctors or afraid to bring stuff up to doctors.
Oh, that's that I've never heard that
You've
name.
never heard? Oh my goodness, white coat syndrome.
No,
Yeah, just that fear that like of the doctors. Like so, yeah.
I've
No,
never heard that
I
name.
can't.
Yeah, no, I've
Yeah,
only heard when people have poor bedside manner, but
yeah.
I've never heard white coat syndrome. I've
Yes,
never
yeah.
heard that, but that makes
Not
sense.
an
That makes
yeah,
sense.
not an official diagnosis, but it's yeah, definitely a thing of just being afraid to talk to a doctor out of due to past experiences, due to likely not being heard, the doctor seeming like they're in a rush because, again, poor bedside manner, all of that stuff.
It needs to change 100%.
It does.
Um, and that's why this next kind of segue is very interesting, because I had to Google different products that people use when they're on your period, because I did not know a couple of these. I don't know if it's because, one, I had my period when I was very young, and we're gonna talk about that. I don't know if like it's because like I haven't had my period in a long time, but like some of these I like never heard of.
Which ones? I'm
Um,
intrigued.
the big one was the menstrual cup,
Okay. You haven't heard
because
of like the Diva Cup?
yeah, but like for me, when I think of that, I don't know, like I think for me, I I always have the mindset of, is this going to work with someone
Yeah.
with PCOS, with
Yeah.
endometriosis,
Fair.
with adenomyosis? And so that's why that one, I was like, I don't know. And the thing is, like, for me, I've never tried it, so I can't recommend it because I've never tried it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that one, I mean, I think that one's the scariest to me. I think if that's, yeah, like I've never tried.
Really
Yeah. That one's the scariest to me
interesting.
because to me, when I think about the periods that I was having, they were heavier. They were like I was crampier. And that's why I also had to stop using tampons because tampons made me cramp more. And I know that's a common symptom for many people of like,
Yep.
even if it's only in for 30 minutes, I was still cramping that much more. So I had to stop using tampons. So with the Diva cup or the menstruation cups, I think I'm afraid of it. One, because am I going to cramp more? And
Mm.
two, thinking about taking that out while I'm at work or public place and there being, I feel like in my head, I'm picturing like a murder scene and
Yeah.
like just blood everywhere.
Even when I used a pad,
Hmm.
literally, unfortunately, that's the only thing I really could use
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
was a pad.
Yeah.
Because one, tampons, that's the one I'm the scariest because one, it hurts, especially if you put it in wrong. Let's just emphasize that. And if you don't have the right size, so then you're
Mhm.
either it goes through too quickly or it's just like feels very uncomfortable. You literally feel like a stick is up your ass.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't what I needed. So that one's
Yeah.
the scariest to me. And so that's why like the tampon was one of the scariest.
I get that. Definitely can understand that. And like pads are my go-to, especially having babies. Put that diaper on me and I'm a happy person. Don't have to worry about anything. All of that. I will wear a diaper any day. And I think one of the funniest memes that I saw after having the babies was my first matching outfit with them was a diaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think just now we're starting to see commercials from like Always
Hmm.
promoting period what are they calling it? Like diapers, I guess, like period
Yeah.
sleep underwear
Sleep
where you can
underwear.
just throw out when you're awake the next day. I think for me with pads, one, I have a love-hate relationship with them
Yeah.
because if they're not comfortable, you are fidgeting the
Yeah.
entire fucking time.
Yes.
And you're doing the pad dance, like the
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and it's not the pee dance. That's a different dance. This is the pad dance. And then when I was in middle school,
Hmm.
pink yoga pants were the shit.
Yes.
And so I
Yep.
would always have to make sure that I had the like little thing, what's it called? Waistband to cover
The
up
waist, the thicker.
the thick
Oh,
waistband
nipples.
to cover up the
Yeah.
pad
Yeah.
because if you didn't do that, people
Hmm.
would know that you were on your period.
Yep. Which, I mean, I know I'm a bit older than you, but like back then, and even still now, like periods are taboo. You don't, you don't talk about it. You don't. I remember having to sneak because in high school, despite cramping, like I would sneak my tampon in my shirt. Like no one can know you're on your period. For some reason, it is dirty, but it's biological. It's natural. Why is it so taboo?
Because it's women. It's women. I constantly say, like, if men had their period,
Hmm.
immediate days off, paid
Right?
leave,
Right?
period products in the bathroom, no questions
Hmm.
asked,
Hmm.
no blue tacks.
Exactly. And the
Like,
fact that like so many women, because I remember there was a study a few years ago that like companies were asking their employees what would just make the environment better, like just
mm-hmm,
more morale. And one
mm-hmm,
of the biggest things was free menstruation products in the bathrooms.
mm-hmm.
And that is just to make it that much more simpler on your employees is mind blowing.
Like, I understand that we need to, like, for the economy,
Hmm.
we need to buy things. I get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I truly, like, to me, I truly don't understand why we have to pay so much.
Same.
Like,
When condoms are that much cheaper and they don't have a blue tax and it goes on a penis.
I personally think condoms should be free, though.
Well, they should
Just
be,
saying.
but
Just saying.
yeah. That's not gonna
But
happen.
no, I agree. I go, oh,
Yeah.
that's never gonna happen. But I
No.
think like with these kind of products, tampons, pads, panty liners,
And
the only ones that I think you have to buy is the period underwear, which
yeah.
I understand like that's
Hmm.
you have to do studies and you have to like
Yeah.
try to figure out what sizes you can do. And then the
Exactly.
menstrual cup, the diva cup. Those are the
Yeah.
only two like I would understand you charging, but I truly can't understand why we're charging so much for
Same.
tampons, pads, and panty liners.
And getting the extra tax on top of them when we can't control our cycles. They're going to happen one way or another. It's bound to happen unless you get pregnant or on birth control, which can stop cycles from happening. But you can't stop your cycle from happening without those things. We need these things as women. You cannot have sex. You don't need condoms. And like, the cup and the period underwear are more of the luxury items, I guess. So
Mhm.
yeah, I could see them charging for that. But adding an extra tax is ridiculous.
Exactly. But when I do want to acknowledge like for people who have PCOS, adenomyosis, endometriosis,
Hmm.
period underwear is fantastic.
I love my period days. I mean, they can be cute and all this other stuff. It's not like you're wearing granny panties or anything like that.
I literally could care less about if they were granny panties, but like I know that for others that's really
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
Really important.
it is. And, especially if your partner, again, taboo, doesn't understand periods or cycles or anything like that, you might not want to wear a pad or granny panties. Um, get yourself a new partner, educate them.
Please.
But yeah, again, biological. We shouldn't be afraid of this. Women,
Yes.
it's normal.
Right.
Um, but I get it. Like, with my ex-husband, he never bought me pads or tampons or anything like that. My current partner does. I should have known that I shouldn't have married him in the first place, knowing that he wouldn't buy me a pad. Hindsight, hindsight. Um,
Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. I should have seen the red flags first. Let's talk about it. Let's not be so grossed out by it. Like, sure,
Right.
it's blood. It's your uterine lining. It can be gross,
Right.
but it's not like it shouldn't have to be. We can't talk about this.
Right. And it's not like others are like it's not like other people are doing it. Yeah, other people may
Hmm.
have their periods, but like
Hmm.
we individually are the ones that are having to clean up or having to do
Yeah.
this. Like it's not like it's out there. It should
Yep.
just be just talked about. I don't know. It's a
Exactly.
very odd to me.
It is.
Um and the last one I'm kind of curious what you think about is free bleeding.
I think to me that goes back to the cup, like I was talking about, how I just imagine a massacre in the bathroom in my clothes.
Hmm.
So that also terrifies me. If that's what you can do, sure. You're not
Live your best
using
life.
products. Yeah, live your best life, no judgment. Personally, I don't think I could because one, I already have too much damn laundry. And two, that I couldn't.
Yeah, no. That's just no for me. Like
Yeah.
a hard no. That's a no
And
for
I'm
me, dog.
wondering, yeah, I'm wondering if it would be different for somebody who didn't have PCOS or endometriosis or is endo.
Adenomyosis. Yeah, them putting
Yeah.
them together makes complete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah.
okay. No worries.
I'm wondering if it would be different if you had a normal menstrual cycle.
Hmm.
Um, but as a person that doesn't have a normal menstrual cycle, I don't,
Right.
yeah, no, that route is scary to me.
The pink tax. Oh, the pink tax. So this is
Yeah.
a definition that our lovely friend AI created. Um, the pink tax refers to the extra amount women pay for specific products or services that are marketed towards women despite being virtually identical to the male versions. Common examples include personal care products like deodorant, shampoo, and body wash typically have higher prices when packaged quote unquote for women. Razors and shaving supplies marketed to women often cost more than men's versions. Even services like dry cleaning, I didn't know this.
I didn't know that
Dry
either.
cleaning and haircuts often cost more for women than men. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
understand haircuts
I
100%.
can
The dry
understand.
cleaning,
Yeah,
I
the
don't
hair.
understand.
Yeah. And with some of the dry cleaning, I could, I guess, understand that too. Of like, we have different materials than men do. Like, if you look at a man's suit versus a woman's formal dress, different materials. So maybe a little bit more. And then you add the gems and whatever onto
Yeah.
them. I know that takes more to care
But if
of,
it's
but
like a woman's suit and a man's suit, I'm
yeah.
curious.
Yeah. Same.
AI was feeling spicy.
Oh
The
boy.
price discrimination isn't an actual tax, but rather a gender based pricing practice that results in women paying more for similar or identical products and services.
Interesting. Hmm.
When did you first hear about the pink tax?
When did I first hear about the pink tax? I'll go. Can't.
I don't, I think high school for me.
Maybe when I
Middle
was
school.
in my associate's program, I think maybe.
Your
Um,
associates?
yeah.
You didn't learn about it in high school?
I might have blocked part of high school out, to be honest, to
I
be
have
fair.
blocked entire of high school
Yeah.
out, so I feel you.
Yeah. So, I think it was during one of my economics classes or something where we talked about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Um, and it never really fazed me. I mean, even growing up, other than tampons and pads and all of that, I mean, I used male razors just
Mm-hmm.
because they were cheaper and they last longer because they're built for like the thicker beard hair.
Mm-hmm.
So they last longer in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess, yeah, I mean, I noticed the differences back then. I just didn't know why it was. I thought it was because they were prettier.
Yeah, I agree. So while I was doing some research, there's this website that I will put in the description box.
Yes.
It's called TaxBack. And basically what you do is you take a picture of your receipt and you send it and you can get the money, the tax back. They describe it
Okay.
better on the website. I'd like to make that clear. They give you back some money take that you had to pay extra for these
Okay.
products.
That's awesome.
But on this website, it shows like an entire map of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they do this in other countries. I think this is unfortunately just for the United States. I don't even know if other countries have this tax,
I was
actually.
about to ask, do other countries have pink tax?
I don't think they're as sexist, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. A majority of states have taken out
Mm-hmm.
this pink tax, which is good. Like our state representatives are actually doing what they're supposed to. But there is
Exactly.
some states, specifically in the South, that have the tax. And the
Okay.
highest one that I saw was Alabama, and the pink tax was 11.8%.
That's wild to me.
That should be illegal, in my
That should be,
opinion.
especially for, again, something biological, something we can't control. And,
Yeah.
living in the South, these states are more in the Bible Belt of it is about pregnancy, it is biological. You would think that you would support these menstruation cycles a little differently, your women a little differently. Yeah. But maybe not. Maybe that's
No.
me, again, assuming things.
Yeah, I think we all assumed that people respected women until Roe was reversed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
Boy.
saying. Um, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting and
It
kind of wanted
is.
to talk about it. The biggest thing I think that is important to periods and something Mariah was really passionate about, and I completely agree with her, is birth control.
Yes.
One,
Yes.
it needs to be the name needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It
again,
does.
back to the period thing.
Mm-hmm.
It When people hear birth control, I think that's one of the reasons why Republicans are so focused on getting rid
Yes.
of it. They think, oh, it's to stop getting pregnant.
It's, oh, so you can just go out and be a whore and not get pregnant or not deal with the consequences of your action. Nope. I want birth control to make my periods not as intense, to make them
Mm-hmm.
more regular. That is why I like birth control to help, you know, people do it to help with acne
Mm-hmm.
because hormonal fluctuations are crazy on their skin. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
so many different reasons for birth control other than not getting pregnant.
Right. So, birth control, there's a couple of different options.
Mm-hmm.
One, the IUD.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of feelings on this IUD. One, the fact that they don't give you any fucking medicine. They don't numb
Nope.
your vagina. They don't do
Nope.
anything. They do it in office. And they're like, "Oh, you're going to have some cramping." Fucking lies. I feel like I'm
Yep.
dying. What are you
Yep.
talking about?
Here's some Tylenol. When I went to go get mine removed because it started poking through my uterine lining, yeah, the doctors were like, "Oh, well, you can just reach in there and take it out yourself." Excuse me? I don't want to do that.
my
And then,
my my PCP was like, "Oh, we'll take it out and put another one back in."
yeah, yeah,
The same fucking
I love
day.
that. I love that. And it's just, they even said, like, oh, well, do you have like somebody there to help you during this? Because I was in a lot of pain. And I'm like, yeah, my mom's here. And they're like, oh, well, she can do it. Excuse me, I don't want my mom fist deep in my vag. No, thank
They
you.
wanted your mom to fucking
Yep.
get it?
Yep. They recommended my mom doing it. I'm like, no, no, thank you.
Why couldn't they do it?
Sure. Because it's our healthcare system where it could have taken them. I think my appointment for it was like 2 weeks out, and I was cramping bad and having a bad
Oh,
period.
oh, you were calling.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was calling it in, and they're like, "Wow, then go to the ER." I'm like, I don't want to go to
Right.
the
And
ER.
then you
I
can't
could
go to
have.
urgent care for this.
No, no. So I
Yeah.
did. I mean, they ended up getting me in sooner,
Hmm.
thankfully. But yeah, the ER was the next step because it was starting to poke through my uterine
Hmm.
lining.
Hmm. Yeah, I have had two experiences. One, it poked through my uterine lining. The
Mhm.
second was I accidentally pulled it out. So one
Ow.
of the okay, let me listen. So one of the thing, this was when I was really sick and we did not know what
Uh,
was wrong with me.
yeah.
I had to do suppositories 3 times a day, vaginal suppositories with 3 different kinds of medications in the suppositories. And so one day when I was doing my suppositories, I was like, "What's this?" And I never felt it before. So obviously I thought something was wrong. And so
Oh,
I
no.
pulled it out. And to be honest, I think it was just my body rejecting it, which is also not fucking talked about. I've never heard
Right?
that.
Nope, nope,
Your body can
never.
reject an IUD.
Yeah, because it's a foreign object. Yeah.
It's it's hella foreign.
And there's different types of IUD because I know there's like the one with hormones in it. And
Yes.
then there's some that, what is it, just copper that works somehow in our body. I don't know the science behind that one.
I think that just is to be cruel. But yeah, no,
Okay. Yeah.
here's the thing. IUDs never worked for us,
Yeah.
but there are people in our lives that love IUDs.
Oh, yeah. Swear by them.
Very confused
And
by it personally when they
same,
say that.
same. I mean, you can only have them for a certain amount of time too.
I think 5 years, I
5
believe.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, if you don't really have to think about it, you don't have
Yeah.
to take a pill like, it makes sense. Like, it's easy.
It's
It's
easy.
easy.
And
And
especially if your body isn't. yeah, as fickle as our bodies. Like,
Right.
if it worked for you, that's awesome.
We're jealous.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's, I think, another thing is you have to try what works
Hmm.
for you. And
Yeah.
that is what's so hard about this because
Hmm.
there's four other ones. There's
Yeah.
the pill, and
Yeah.
there's multiple different types of pills. There's the progesterone only pill, which is called quote unquote the mini pill. Then
Hmm.
there's the combination pill, which is estrogen and progesterone only. Then there's the shot, which is
Yeah.
just progesterone. Then there's the implant under the arm, which
Yeah.
is just progesterone.
Hmm.
And then the birth control ring,
Hmm.
which is progesterone and estrogen.
Yeah. Do they not do the patches anymore?
That was one of the things that came up in my research. And I would like to say that the website that I checked out, I will put in the description, is called bedsider.org. It was
Hmm.
incredibly insightful. It talks about birth control. It also talks about healthy sex. It talks about a bunch of different things. I will be putting that in the description.
Yes.
But it talks about how with the patch,
Hmm.
it's only for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And from my understanding with the patches, you have to be on top of it, but it sounds more that it's to have safe sex rather than
Okay.
to regulate your period, from
Okay.
my
Okay.
personal understanding of it. But the thing is that there's so many different companies
Hmm.
creating one product. So there's so many different IUDs. There's so many different types of birth control pills. There's
Yes.
so many different types. Well, there's 2 shots. Like there's so many different things, and it's
Yeah.
like you have to try everything,
You do.
and
And I
that's
mean,
awful.
yeah, exactly. And I have been one of the ones to try everything because, I'm not the best with pills. Reminding myself to take them every single day is tough, especially in the chaos of life. Like
I
same
got
time every
you.
single day. It's tough. So I've tried the IUD. We already know how that worked out. I tried the arm one
The
and
shot or the implant.
the implant. And
I feel like that
that
hurts.
actually it hurts and I have a scar and nobody warned me about the scar. And
I got a scar.
yeah, I have a scar on my arm and I have scars from surgeries and stuff like that, but I wasn't expecting such a big scar on my arm. And
You
it's
should
probably the
say you
size
got
of
it
a
from a
penny,
knife fight.
right? Somebody stabbed me. Legit, they stab you. And they numb the area when they go to take it out, but you
What
still have to
about
have
when they put it
sickness.
in?
I think it was like the localized anesthetic, but you're awake and you're watching and everything. Like when they put it in, it's legit like a shot. Hmm.
Kind of like the movies where they like inject you with like the
Kinda, yeah.
trackers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I
Fascinating.
mean, I felt it frequently. It was just like you could bump it and like feel it. But
Okay.
with that, my period lasted for months when I had that one. So that one didn't work out for me. And then I've tried the
Yeah.
NuvaRing and that my body rejected that
Hmm.
constantly of it just didn't want to stay. It would be wrapped around stuff
Yeah.
when you were having sex. It would just, yeah, be wrapped around. And I'm like, how is this beneficial? Yeah. So and I'm not going to do the shots because that's not good
Mm.
hormonally for your body from everything I've
That
seen
was
is,
one of the
yeah,
recommendations for me, the Lupron shots. Yeah, which
because you're only
causes
supposed to be on it.
early menopause.
Yep. Yep. You're only supposed to be on it for a certain amount of time. And so many doctors don't follow that guideline at all.
Absolutely not.
No. Going back on the pill, actually got that. It's getting delivered today because we're almost done breastfeeding and I am not playing the 3 under 3 game.
Oh, sorry. That took me
Yeah.
a long time. That a
Yeah.
little too long to
A
understand
little
that.
too long. Yeah. No,
If
we're not
anyone
having,
doesn't understand that, like me, please explain what the 3 under 3 game is.
3 children under the age of 3. We're
Thank
not playing this game.
you.
Not doing it.
Yeah, especially after the little one's teething experience is scarred.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, I think that it's ridiculous. And I think the biggest thing is they tell you you have to wait 3 months.
Hmm.
You have to suffer for
Yeah.
fucking 3 months, and it is hell. Like,
Yeah.
let me just tell you, these are just some of the side effects that popped up. Not all.
Oh boy.
Breakthrough bleeding, breast tenderness, headaches, mood swings, bloating, weight gain, which I really struggled with, still
Mm-hmm.
do, acne, dizziness, fatigue, eye changes. I was kind of confused what that meant. It said blurry vision, irritation, or dry eyes, and
Okay.
blood clots.
So much fun.
Those are just some.
Just some. So truly, to fight off the symptoms that we have from our cycle, from our period,
Yep.
we are being met with even more potential side effects.
Mm-hmm.
It might help so that your period doesn't last for months or weeks or reduces the heaviness of it. But you might have a blood clot. You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, I have been on birth control since I was 11. That is when I got my period.
Wow.
And that's why
Lucky.
I really want the name to be changed, because when you
Mhm.
first hear, oh my God, your mom
Mhm.
put you on birth control when you were 11. Oh, I'm sorry, bitch. Like, I was fucking
Yeah.
bleeding out. What do you want her to
Exactly.
do?
Exactly. And the amount of looks. So I was a late bloomer. I didn't get my period until I was like 15.
I am so jealous of you.
It was a surprise. I got picked up early from school. So much fun. But like the conversations when I tell parents, like you might want to think about birth control to help regulate this PMDD for your daughter. They're like,
Mhm.
well, she's not having sex. It's not just for sex. It's not just for sex.
Right. To be honest, like when I think of birth control, I don't even think of sex right now. Like,
Yeah.
sex is on the other side of the world for me when I think of birth control. I think
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
regulating your hormones. Like, currently,
Same.
I am on progesterone only, and I guess that's
Okay.
the best one for
Mm-hmm.
people with endometriosis. Actually, this kind of goes into it. I visited the vulvar clinic to work
Okay.
with my pelvic floor dysfunction. Basically, she said I have tried everything. But one of the things she mentioned was putting estrogen
Mm-hmm.
inside your uterus.
Like a suppository.
From my understanding, it was like a suppository or like a cream. Sorry, like I say
Okay.
cremita,
Yeah.
so like cream. Anyways, to put it inside, because sometimes like you need some kind of estrogen if your levels are too low.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if you have like endometriosis, that's a
Yeah.
bad thing. So I thought that was really interesting, because
That is.
I've never heard of an estrogen just for, like, it's not a birth control. Like, it's not
No.
going in your cervix.
Yeah. Huh. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. But
That is.
one of the things she said, which I thought was very important, and I low key, okay, more like high key, want to invite her on the podcast, because I asked her, why has this been so bad? Why has this
Mhm.
experience been so awful? And she
Yeah.
said, well, we're really behind in research.
Yeah.
People did not care for women. And because of that, we are
Mm-hmm.
having to catch up. Women's health was not a priority, and still
Yep.
is really not a priority.
Yeah. And we've touched on it in a previous episode of they just started testing period products with actual blood.
Yeah.
Like
I
the fact
wonder,
that
did they do like food dye? Like, I'm just
it was the blue
curious.
dye that you see in like, the toilet paper commercials. It was like, it soaks it up. Yeah, because that's water. It's
Yeah.
not including the clots. It's not including the thickness of blood.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was kind of wild. And I just thought it was really interesting.
That
But
is.
to wrap it up, I thought we could do something. We kind of already touched on it.
Mhm.
Our first period story. You want me to go first? I can go first, or you want to go first?
I mean, I already started talking about it briefly, so let me, I guess, finish that story. Yeah, I was at school. I was in high school.
Were you a freshman? No, 50. Freshman
How
or sophomore? Depends,
I
right?
was a sophomore. Yeah, because I graduated when I was 17. So I was a sophomore um, in my history class.
No,
And
you remember the class?
I remember the class because even though my cycle was always irregular, it always started at this time of day. So I always was prepared.
That's very fascinating.
It's, yeah, at least something about my body is predictable. Yeah, I was in history class and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. And thankfully, this teacher was pretty cool. Like, as long as you weren't causing trouble, he could give two fucks.
Thanks,
And as long as you
teacher.
were passing, yeah, he was a cool teacher. Went to the bathroom and like, there was a murder scene in my underwear. And obviously, I was 15. I kind of knew what was going on. I didn't have anything. And I don't even think the classrooms or the bathrooms had any products. So went to the nurse, and thankfully the nurse was like our next door neighbor. Well, behind us, so back door neighbor doesn't sound appropriate, but like, she called my mom, and the nurse ended up driving me home.
Your nurse was your neighbor.
Yeah.
You did not say that. How you said it was that you had went to the nurse's office and that you had to go to someone else behind the nurse's office
Oh no.
when you
Okay.
said back door. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. Your nurse was
Okay.
your
Well,
neighbor. Your nurse was your neighbor.
yeah, the nurse was the neighbor behind us. I think, yeah, yeah. You are
door.
ma'am.
That's funny. That's funny.
A different type, different topic, all right there.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
why would
yeah.
the nurse not have it, but the backdoor person does? I was very confused.
Yeah.
Continue.
So the nurse was our neighbor behind us because my mom was a single parent, um, and was a nurse herself. She couldn't come get me, and they weren't about to let me sit at school with no clothes.
Interesting.
So yeah, that was my first experience,
That's
and
that's
it's
very
just been
fascinating.
it's been chaos ever since with it. So always fun.
My first experience, I was 11, and I'm so sorry, Mom. I know she talked about it, but I cannot remember. I know she talked about it because remember the American Girl doll books? The specific book that I'm thinking of is the one with the three girls, and it was the body book, and they had the towels in their hair and the towels. I remember that she like sat me down one day, and I was like, "Ew, ew, I don't have it, Mom." Ugh." So maybe that's why I didn't know it was happening. So
Yeah,
I didn't know what was happening. And apparently, so I thought something was wrong,
yeah.
but I didn't tell my parents. So I was just like putting my underwear in the laundry. And then it was like, I think like 3 days, maybe. I don't know. I know it was more than one day. I like was like, Dad, something's wrong. And my mom was like, and like everyone sprang into action. Um,
Oh my gosh.
but what was really interesting was that my blood was not red. My blood was brown.
Oh, okay.
And I think that is another thing that is not talked about is the different
No.
colored blood that happens. And
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it in Western medicine, but in Eastern medicine, because I go to an acupuncturist, he said basically brown blood means old blood. It
Yeah.
means that the blood that's been stuck, unfortunately, had a very traumatizing period experience, like very traumatizing. And I kind of wanted, my next question was like, did you have a supportive nurse? Because the school nurses did not believe me. The school nurses constantly were like, she's faking it. The school nurses did not believe my period was as bad as it was. They thought I was just being dramatic. They didn't think my stomach my cramping was as bad as it actually, like, they were like, "Ugh, you're so dramatic, you're fine." I was constantly sent back to class from the nurses, which I have an issue with sending a kid back to class. Like, I know if you can tell, but like if a kid's sobbing and rolled up in a ball, like, I feel like maybe you shouldn't do that. I have honestly a big issue with school nurses. I beef
And
with them.
yeah, and so I don't think I ever complained about it. I just was like, oh, this is normal. This is normal. So I just sucked it up. I never complained about it because I thought it was all normal. I thought the intense cramps, the always having to take Midol or Tylenol or
Huh.
anything was what was normal until I became an adult and somebody was like, ma'am, this is not normal behaviors or emotions or symptoms. And like, oh shit. Okay, well, I've been struggling for so long. So I can't speak on that experience as to if I had an issue with the nurse because I never told anybody until I was older.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
and whoever I did tell, like, oh yeah, like my cramps are debilitating at times. They're like, oh well, that's normal. That's expected.
Debilitating cramps is not normal. Let's just
No, they're
emphasize
not.
that.
They're not.
You should not have debilitating cramps. I don't give
No.
a fuck what anyone says. I don't care if they
Hmm.
have a quote unquote PhD on their fucking wall. It's not
Yeah.
normal. Get a new
No.
fucking doctor.
Exactly. And for sure, of like, yeah, the first day or second day might be more uncomfortable because you're expelling stuff from your body. Um, but for it to last the whole cycle, and even before I was bleeding,
And not just a little
yeah.
bit.
No, not just a little bit. Like I would throw up. I would have to be on a heating pad constantly or using like Tylenol so much more frequently on top of the
Mm-hmm.
headaches, on top of everything. That's not normal for it to
Mm-hmm.
be that impactful for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is so fucked up to say, but
Hmm.
one of the things I kept hearing when I was like trying to figure out what was wrong was like that people would faint from the pain.
Yeah.
And I would pray to faint. Like, I kid
Yeah.
you not, like, I would pray to faint
Just
because
so
the
you could be
pain
taken
was
seriously.
just, no, because the pain was so
Oh,
bad.
jeez.
I just wanted
Wow.
it to stop. It was
Yeah.
I have never fainted, unfortunately, in my opinion. I know that's not a good thing to say,
It's
but like the pain was so excruciating. The
hmm
best way I can, it was just like all over. And apparently, like, we obviously didn't know I had endometriosis, but my
Yeah.
mom said when I moved in my sleep, I was groaning in pain.
Yeah.
Like, that's not normal.
It's not. It's not normal, despite being told that, oh, it's normal. It's a female thing. Just suck it up. Like that's a normal experience. It's not normal. Let's stop normalizing pain that we go through,
Yeah,
please, because it's
no,
not.
exactly. And that's why, to let everyone know, period products need to be in bathrooms, and school nurses need to have trainings on how to handle periods as young as in elementary school, because
Yeah.
that's where we're at, and not be judgmental if the parent puts their child on birth control. You don't know what the fuck is going on. You're a school
Yeah.
nurse.
Yeah. Exactly.
We don't need to
Like,
explain anything. But what we need is your support. What we need is your
mhm.
compassion. And that is something that I feel like has been lost with periods. There's like no there's no
None.
compassion.
None. And like I know you said like days off and PTO and stuff like that and different needing opinions because yeah, we still need to function. And maybe that's my mom brain of even if I'm sick, I have things I have to take care of.
Right.
Um, but there should be leniency of if I have to take a sick well, I'm self-employed now. If I have to take a sick day, I have to take a sick day. Like make
Right.
it a normalized thing of not having to get a doctor's excuse. I'm an adult. If I have to take a day off, whether it's my mental health, my physical health, I have something to do. Let me take a day off without 1,000 questions as to why I needed time off.
I think this is controversial, maybe, that it should be separate from your sick days.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to have it connected because you get a certain amount of sick days per year.
Mm-hmm.
You quote unquote get your period every month.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're taking sick days every month, then like you when you're sick with like the flu or whatever, you don't have any
Mm-hmm.
sick days. So
Yeah.
that's why I feel like it should be separate because
Yeah.
it's every month, because it's constant, where you don't, I mean, maybe you do, but people don't get colds all the time.
Exactly. And that's one of the things, like, and I can see both sides of that. Um, and on the flip side, I don't want my employer to know when my period's happening. Again, going back to the tracking of stuff, I don't want people to know when I'm having my period.
That's
For
fair. That's fair.
especially companies and especially the government. With
Yeah.
what's going on right now, I don't want these people to know when it's happening.
Yeah, that's fair. So I don't know how you would do
Yeah.
that.
Um,
Maybe just like connect it, don't even call it something different, but you would have extra days or something.
yeah.
I'm not
Within
sure.
leniency too, because if it's happening, I mean, if your cycle is happening for a month time frame, you obviously can't get PTO
Right,
for the whole.
right,
Like this is all within reason.
right.
Like your first day, if it's really bad, like some leniency there, or work from home. But again, also that's changed recently with our president. No more federal employees working from home. Yeah, I don't know how possible this is. I just know that something needs to change within our healthcare system and within society.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that things can be possible if we think of others. And
Yes.
I think for so long, because we have not been thinking of others, specifically women,
Hmm.
that it's hard. I can see
Yeah.
like it's really hard for you specifically to be like, I can't see that. I don't
Yeah.
know how it work. And that's okay.
Listen.
Like that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's why like I think me saying that it should be different is kind of controversial. But
Yeah.
I think that is why women need to be respected more. And I feel
Yes.
like this is a step towards
Hmm.
equal respect. This is a step towards equality
Yeah.
because we all know that if a man had their period, it would be different because they like
Hmm.
if a man has a cold, oh my God, it's like the world fucking end.
Exactly.
So, and yes, that's a
Exactly.
generalization, I understand, but still. But
Man's lose the thing.
like we have to be equal. And in this world, this society, women are not equal.
No, we're not.
And so
Despite what people want to say, we're not equal.
the pink tax is not excluded
Think
in all states. Period products are not in bathrooms worldwide. They are extremely expensive. Period poverty is a thing where people
Mm-hmm.
cannot afford period products because
Mm-hmm.
it's so expensive. Like
Yeah.
these are the issues that women go through monthly.
As a woman, you think about breastfeeding, just something I'm used to. Of thankfully, it's not at this employer, but a previous employer when they had like company meetings, they're like, oh, well, like, here's the bathroom. No, I'm not pumping my child's food in the bathroom. Or the whole, oh, we didn't think about a place for you to pump. Well, I can do it here. Like, I'll whip them out. They're like, no, no, we have, like, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, well, a place needs to be found so that I can pump food for my child. Because again, women aren't thought about, or it's over sexualized of you can't feed your child there because your nipples out. Sir, I see your nipples through your shirt. You probably had bigger boobs than me at some point. Just stop. Like,
Yeah. Same
it's
thing
not.
as
Yeah,
why are you giving your child birth control? So yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Stop making everything so sexual.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's why I think that should show that women are not considered equal because
Yeah,
those situations would not happen.
exactly. They want it.
So that's the episode.
I know.
I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yes, I hope that this opens up the door for it not to be such taboo. Like, let's start acknowledging it. Let's start doing this. Let's not be afraid of pads, tampons, periods. Blood's scary, but I just don't like blood in general. So let's normalize this for ourselves, for future generations of it's okay to talk about your period. Don't be ashamed. Let's not normalize pain or suffering for women anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's a difference between mild cramping that Midol and Tylenol can handle, and then there's throwing up, fainting, needing to go to the emergency room at times. That's not normal.
It's not.
That's not normal. And even if you feel like something is wrong, that slight gut feeling, get checked out.
Exactly.
Get checked out. And I understand in America, we do not have universal health care. And that's another issue.
Yeah.
And so it is easier for Mariah and I to say, get checked out. But
there are services.
Planned Parenthood, number one.
It's huge. And again, it's not just about abortions. Planned Parenthood has
the smallest thing they do.
I think so too. They have so much information and so many resources for birth control, for safe sex, for period products, for all of this. It is not just about abortions.
Right, exactly. I also think, my last thought before we head out, sanitation wipes.
Yes.
I think that would be really helpful to be included with tampons and panty liners and pads, because like you said, if I'm in middle school or in high school and I'm running to the bathroom, or if I'm even just in my 30s at work or whatever, I feel like sanitation wipes should be included as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because even with any of these products, you can leak. Something can happen. You need to refresh, and it's totally fine too.
Yeah, and then you look
you
like
don't need
Dexter.
to smell like roses. Yeah.
Leaving for audio listeners, my hands are up like Dexter, like the show.
Yeah. Let's not walk around like that.
That's why we need sanitation products.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed this episode of Wait Here, Please. This is our vision to talk about quote unquote taboo subjects. Yeah. This is something that Mariah and I are very passionate about. We believe that women need to be treated equally. We believe that women need to be taken seriously, because if I say I'm in pain, I'm in fucking pain.
Yeah. And it takes a lot usually for us to admit to being in pain.
Oh, not me. I'm a baby.
Yeah. I'll speak for myself. It takes me a lot to admit to it. And I need you tell me all the time I need to do better with that. Talk about it more. I just suck it up and bare my teeth and grit it. And maybe it's my military background. Maybe it's my mom's a nurse. Who knows where that comes from? I'm sure I'll unpack that at some point. Grin and bear. We don't need to grin and bear it, especially when it comes to our vaginal health.
If you want to share your first period story with us, please do. I will put our email in the description box. We also have Instagram, Twitter. So to talk about Apple, so you need a subscription to put up Apple Podcasts. Okay. So that is something Mariah and I have to talk about. Yeah. So that is why Apple Music has not been added. But maybe in the future.
TikTok's making it big again. Follow us. And if you are one of the ones that relies and loves your menstrual cup, let us know. Give us tips.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Give us your experience, please, because it's something I'm curious in, especially with environmental reasons behind it. So let us know.
Yeah. And if there's period products you recommend, honestly, as for pads and panty liners, tampons, they're all the same in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't see a difference. We're here because we want to spread awareness and support and break down that Whereas like, pull open the door. No, I want to fucking smash that shit. What the fuck?
This is Sparta. Kick the do the Spartan kick and knock down that door.
Yeah. So that is all. We hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. And we
Yes.
will see you in the next video. I mean, the next podcast or video, wherever you see it.
Wherever. Exactly. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.